It was 8:32 p.m. He sat on his bed, phone in his hand, refreshing the screen. Not because he was waiting for something important, but because he was hoping for anything. A message, a notification, a simple, "Hey, what's up?" Nothing came. Earlier that day, he had laughed with coworkers, nodded during conversations, even cracked a joke that made people smile. But now, in the quiet of his room, one thought kept echoing. If I disappeared tonight, would anyone actually notice? This is not the kind of loneliness that comes from being alone. This is the loneliness of being surrounded by people, yet feeling completely unseen. And if you've ever felt this way, this video is for you. Because today, we're talking about the psychology of people who struggle to make friends. Not to label them, but to finally understand them.
It usually doesn't start with loneliness. It starts with confusion. Being surrounded by people, laughing at the right moments, saying the right things, yet somehow always feeling slightly out of place. You go through your day appearing normal, even social, but when the noise fades and the room gets quiet, there's an uncomfortable realization waiting for you. No one really checks on you. No one reaches out first. And that thought hurts more than being alone ever could. This is the emotional world of people who struggle to make friends. Most people assume these individuals are antisocial or uninterested in others, but that assumption couldn't be further from the truth. In reality, they care deeply. They just don't give their emotions away easily. For them, connection isn't casual. It's serious. They don't want temporary bonds or surface-level friendships that disappear the moment life gets inconvenient. So they move slowly, observe quietly, and protect themselves from getting attached too soon. In a fast-paced world that values instant bonding, this emotional caution is often misunderstood. For many, this struggle traces back to childhood. Being left out of group activities, ignored in classrooms, or made to feel invisible during formative years quietly shapes the brain. These experiences may not seem traumatic on the surface, but repetition turns them into belief systems. Over time, the mind internalizes the idea that being chosen isn't guaranteed. That belief doesn't disappear with age. It follows them into adulthood, silently influencing how they interact, hesitate, and hold back. Emotionally, these individuals feel more than they show. A delayed reply can spiral into self-doubt. A change in someone's tone can trigger anxiety. A cancel plan can replay in their mind for days. This heightened emotional sensitivity makes them cautious because caring deeply also means hurting deeply. To outsiders, they may seem distant or reserved, but internally,
they're constantly processing feelings they don't know how to express safely. Overthinking becomes a constant companion. Conversations don't end when people walk away. They continue endlessly in the mind. Every word is reanalyzed. Every pause is questioned. This mental replay steals the natural flow that friendships need to grow. Instead of being present, they become self-conscious. Instead of connecting, they perform. And performance never creates real bonds. They're observers by nature. While others compete for attention, they watch quietly. They notice who listens and who pretends to. They sense emotional shifts that others miss. They value authenticity over popularity, depth over numbers. They don't need a crowd. They need one person who understands them. Unfortunately, in a loud world, quiet depth is rarely rewarded. Part 2. Why connection feels so hard. Fear plays a powerful role in their social lives, especially the fear of rejection. Sending the first message feels risky. Making plans feels vulnerable. Inviting someone out feels like placing their self-worth in someone else's hands. So they wait. They hope someone else will take the first step. And often, that step never comes. Not because they aren't wanted, but because both sides are afraid to reach out. Deep inside, many of them feel replaceable. They assume their absence wouldn't be noticed, their presence wouldn't be missed. This belief subtly shapes their behavior. They minimize themselves. They avoid taking up space. They silence their needs. And when someone doesn't feel important, others unconsciously treat them that way too. It becomes a self-fulfilling cycle. Social media intensifies this pain. Endless images of friend groups, inside jokes, and perfect moments flood the screen. The brain doesn't analyze context, it compares. It concludes that everyone else has connection, belonging, and support. Meanwhile, the quiet on their own phone feels louder than ever. What social media doesn't show is
How many of those connections are shallow, temporary, or performative? But logic rarely wins against emotion. What these individuals truly crave isn't constant conversation. It's meaning. Small talk feels empty to them. They want to talk about thoughts, fears, dreams, and life itself. But depth requires emotional availability, and not everyone is ready for that. So they're labeled boring, serious, or hard to connect with, when in reality, they're just sincere in a world that prefers simplicity. Silence feels safe to them. It doesn't scare them. It doesn't need to be filled. But society often interprets silence as awkwardness or disinterest. This misunderstanding creates distance. People assume they don't care, when in fact, they care too much and don't know how to show it without risking rejection. When they finally do attach to someone, they attach deeply. Loyalty comes naturally to them. They remember details. They show up emotionally. They stay consistent. But this also means that betrayal or abandonment cuts deeper. Losing a friend doesn't just hurt. It confirms their deepest fear. That connection never lasts. So next time, they guard themselves even more. The truth is, people who struggle to make friends are not broken. They are not boring. They are not unlikable. They're emotionally deep in a shallow world. They're slow in a fast society. They are genuine in an age of performance. And one day, when they meet someone who values depth over noise, everything changes. Until then, the most important relationship they must protect is the one they have with themselves. Because being alone doesn't mean being unworthy. Sometimes, it simply means you haven't met your people yet.
Before this video ends, let me ask you something. How many times have you felt alone, even when people were around? If this story felt a little too real, that's not a coincidence. It means you're not broken. It means you feel deeply. And if this video made you feel understood, even for a few seconds, please press the like button, not for the algorithm, but as a quiet sign that someone out there feels the same way. And if you don't want to feel invisible again, if you want more stories that actually understand the silent struggles inside you, then subscribe. This channel is for people who feel too much, think too deeply, and rarely say it out loud. You're not alone here, and you never have to be.